Good evening. The webinar will begin in a few minutes. Please take note of the housekeeping items on your screen to complete before we get started here shortly. All participants' video and audio will be muted. If you are a junior or senior high school student, please rename yourself for the scholarship drawing this evening. Good evening and welcome to the College ABCC's webinar, a look at Associate, Bachelor, Credential, and Certificate programs for after high school. My name is Nick Boudra. I'm the Career and College Supervisor of Career and College Programs here at St. Clair County, here to help you and your family continue your career and college planning for after high school graduation. The format this evening will be a 30 to 40 minute discussion with our panelists, followed by a question and answer segment in which the audience can ask questions via the chat button at the bottom of your screen. Please do not wait until it's time to ask questions if you have any during the panelist segment. When it comes to college, there is no one-size-fits-all model for students to follow pursuing their education and/or training to achieve a successful career after high school. There are several pathways. To better understand the process, we have a great panel in store for you this evening to discover the opportunities that await for you after high school graduation. Some suggestions for this evening: as you listen to each of the three panelists, ask yourself this: what is your career interest and what careers are you interested in after high school? The second question would be, what level of education or training is required to obtain employment in that field? And last but not least, when and where will be the starting point for this education and training? Without further ado, we're going to get our first panelist. Let's see here to get the video going. I'll introduce once we're getting everything set here. Our first panelist is Pat Yannick, the CTE Director at St. Clair County Tech. Pat is here this evening to discuss tech programs and how they may fit your son or daughter's career preparation during their junior and senior year. Pat, thank you for joining us this evening. I'm going to share my screen to get the presentation up here. All right, Pat, it's all yours. Let me move forward a couple. There we go.
There we go. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening and for this opportunity to share with you. My name is Pat Yannick. I'm the Director of Technical Education for St. Clair County RESA and at the Technical Education Center on the RESA campus. Just a little bit about tech and what we do before we get going. At Tech, we've been there since 1976, and our mission is to provide students with technical, academic, and employability skills needed for them to be successful as they venture into the world of work. Programs at St. Clair Tech, so you can go ahead and advance there, Nick. A list of programs at St. Clair Tech are in front of you. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see we've got a wide variety of programs available to students. Students can come to Tech beginning in 11th grade. Any school in St. Clair County, they're allowed to attend, and they could just need to see their counselor to get signed up and begin their career in 11th grade and 12th grade. These are the districts that we currently partner with. You can see that all of the districts in St. Clair County are represented, and they can enroll through any one of these districts through any one of these high schools. And as I said earlier, this just kind of gives you a visual to show that the credentialing process at St. Clair Tech, or as we like to refer to them as stackable credentials, students when they come to Tech, they start off as a junior or senior, either one. And some programs require juniors to start at the junior year, but they're going to acquire a credential or more in academic, technical, and employability skills, as well as industry credentials if they're available. And I'm just going to quickly go through these. The next slide is their academic credential that they can earn, which is a work key credential. It measures their reading, math, and locating information skills. The next one is their tech certificate, which would be a list of job titles that they've earned at St. Clair Tech during their time at Tech. So for example, welding or metal machining. And then the last one would be their employability skills. This is something employers have told us is really important to them. This is the students' behavior attitudes at work or while they're working, quality of work, motivation, attitude, professionalism, and their use of resources at work. We also include in that their attendance while they're at Tech. These are just some examples of the industry credentials that students can obtain while they're at Tech. All of our programs have some type of an industry credential that they can take with them. And over the last few years, as these have become more and more important, that we've had more opportunity to add these to the students at Tech. These are included with their Tech program. In other words, once they qualify, we sign them up and they're able to take, in most cases, their certification exam right at St. Clair Tech, and we pay for that expense as part of their Tech program. Something new for us since 2018 at St. Clair Tech is our technical middle college program. This is something that we offer in cooperation with all of our districts and St. Clair County Community College. It's a program similar to Tech in that If students attend tech, they're allowed to sign up. If you go to the next slide there, Nick. They're able to sign up in these programs that have the CTMC logo next to them: computer programming, cybersecurity or information technology, digital media, engineering and robotics, health, metal machining, and welding. Students have to sign up at the beginning of 11th grade. In 11th grade, they attend tech halftime, their local district halftime. 12th grade, they attend tech halftime and SC4 halftime. And then the nice thing about this is it allows them to also continue for a 13th year. And in their 13th year, they can get up to 30 credits per semester at SC4, and they're all paid for. Next slide. This is what we would call a traditional stackable credential, in what we would also describe as like a career ladder. Students in medical or health with us start off with a certified nurse aide. They would then transfer to SC4 for medical assisting. They can then progress into the LPN or even the RN. And if you wanted to, you can transfer to Oakland University and get your BSN or continue on and become a physician's assistant. And so that's a typical career ladder. The next slide. Something fairly new for us, as we've been talking with parents and students, is helping them to understand that most careers aren't so much of a ladder as they are a lattice. And by lattice, we mean that the student is able to, instead of just going vertically, in many cases, the students will go off, they'll meet a fork in the road, and they'll go in one direction or another. In other words, not all students go in the same direction. Some take a left turn, some take a right turn, some go straight up. Some change careers completely. So the next slide. This is an example of, in my mind, how a traditional career path might look. Shows the young lady climbing the steps. She gets up to the top of the step and she has to make a choice. She can step up to the left, she can step up to the right, and if she goes up to the right, she can step to the left again. And so this is kind of how most adults go through life today, because a lot of the careers that we will be doing 20 years from now don't exist. And so the steps will change as we progress. And then this last one I put in for fun, because this is, if you look at this long enough, it gets a little bit confusing, but this shows how some people's careers might go. And there's no right or wrong to it. It has a lot to do with opportunity. We think opportunity is key to career success. When opportunity presents itself, you take advantage of it. You move into a different area or of work or a different department in an organization. And as you succeed there, another opportunity presents itself and you move into something different. Or it could be in a completely different organization altogether. If you look at a lot of the successful CEOs out there today, it's amazing how they'll go from, automotive to energy to another career area altogether. But at the end of the day, they're taking the skills that they've acquired along the way with them. And with that, I'd just like to close with letting everyone know that for 10th graders on February 25th from 6 to 8 p.m., we're going to be having our first tech virtual open house where parents and students can visit with teachers, learn about programs they're interested in, and see what tech looks like virtually. This is the first time we've not been able to open up to the public, so this will be new for us. And so you can register online. You can go to our website, sctech.org, and just click on the register page and sign up for the sessions that you'd like to attend. You can do 3 half-hour sessions, and then there's a Q&A at 7:30 to 8, which is live. And then all of the sessions will be recorded and put on our website the next day so that people can come back at their leisure and go through all 12 programs if they'd like.
All right, let's stop sharing here. Pat, thank you so much for, so much information. in a short amount of time in describing all the programs and what's available for students while they're in high school. But what's a typical day look like for a student that attends tech? I know it's not, the typical 8 to 3 or 7:30 to 2:30. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So students that attend tech are either in the morning session or the afternoon. We have 2 sessions a day. It's a little bit different than high school in that the students come in, they're either bussed in or they drive, and they're there for their full morning or their full afternoon. So it's basically 3 sessions of their day. At the high school, they're going to be at tech, but they're going to be in one class for that entire time. That allows us to get tools out, and like, so for example, most people could relate if I said culinary, you have to get dressed up in your appropriate wardrobe to go into the kitchen, your personal protective equipment. Students go in the kitchen and they might, be baking that day or cooking something or grilling something, making a soup, a sauce, whatever it is they're doing in the kitchen. And you can't typically do that in 50 minutes. And so they've got 2.5 hours that they can make something. And then we've got to have time to clean up and get back into their street clothes and get back on the bus or out the door in that 2.5 hours. So it really goes by quickly. One of the things I hear frequently as students are leaving the building is, I can't believe it's time to go already. It feels like we just got here.
Yeah, that's I've been over there numerous times, and it's so great to see the students because it's they're active and they're learning, and they seem to really be finding a niche through those programs, which leads me to my next question. I kind of know the answer, but I want the audience to hear this. Is there a connection from once they graduate from high school and St. Clair County Tech to going to SC4 and community college or a university and continuing their education beyond the technical education they received from you?
Sure. You saw on the list the 7 programs that we have that marry nicely with SC4, meaning they can continue in that program at SC4. An example would be, again, in health careers, they can go to SC4 and continue in their health. There are some programs that we have that SC4 do not have, but that doesn't mean students can't still go to SC4 and start their college career after high school at SC4, pick up some classes and transfer through an exchange program with SC4 where they have a cooperative agreement with another college or university that does offer that program that they're looking for. And we have, we're at about 80%, 70 to 80%, depending on the year. If unemployment is high, then we have a higher number of kids go to college. If unemployment is low and jobs are available, then we have a higher number of students that end up leaving high school and going right to work because the labor market is looking for them and wanting them to come to work right away and delay that college experience. We tell them, do what's right for you. But again, opportunity has a lot to do with what students do after high school.
And the credentials and certificates that they obtain from tech, many go right into employment or employment while they're attending community college or college, correct?
Right. So some of our students, like, you need to be licensed in Michigan to be an automotive technician or a cosmetologist or collision repair technician. Students can receive their welding certificate, cybersecurity. You have to be certified nurse aide to work in a long-term care facility as a young person. But then some of those will transfer to SC4, and they use those for what we call articulation, which means if you go to SC4 with that certificate, SC4 will honor it toward a class at SC4. That way you don't have to take that class over again. You check that one off your list and it allows you to progress a little more quickly.
That's great. Well, Pat, thank you so much. I guess the last question to wrap up just this segment would be, what advice do you have for students or families that are considering tech or in a tech program of their interest?
Attend our open house on February 25th and I would encourage you to do it with an open mind. It's amazing the number of times where, a brother or sister comes to tech. And so they're thinking, well, I'm going to take that program because it was really interesting to my brother or sister. But then when they walk around and look around, they'll see something that better meets their interest and not just what somebody else told them they enjoy doing. And so we encourage them to visit with an open mind and find what's interesting to you.
Thank you so much, Pat. We will come back to you during the question and answer period because I'm sure there's going to be some questions for you. Thank you.
Sure, thanks.
All right, our next guest is coming to us from St. Clair County Community College, otherwise known as SC4, Jessica Stewart. Jessica is the Assistant Director of Admissions, is highly active in not only advising students at SC4, but supporting all our local districts, working with St. Clair RESA and St. Clair Tech and Blue Water College Access Network and myself. Jessica, it's good to see you again. I saw you earlier in the week. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. So let's just get started with the common level of education that's referred to around colleges and community colleges is an associate degree, the most common degree a lot of people think about when they attend a community college. Give us a little bit of a description of what is an associate degree and what goes into obtaining one of those.
Absolutely. So I think a lot of times we get caught up in the time frame of a degree. We think of a degree in terms of 2 years, 4 years, 6 years. And certainly you can think of an associate degree as that 2-year degree where a student comes after high school in a lot of cases and spends 2 years working on their education. But I think a better description of it is to talk to you about credit. So an associate degree is a type of degree that's about 60 credits. And that seems scary and overwhelming to students when you compare it to high school, which requires somewhere between 20 to 25. But if I break it down to you and tell you that the average class is about 3 credits, I think it makes it sound a little less scary. So what you're really looking at in an associate's degree is about 20 classes. And those 20 classes can be divided up in the traditional sense where you maybe take 5 per semester, going full time, about 15 credits, and you go in fall and you go in winter for 2 years and you graduate. But a degree is not designed as a finite amount of time. You can spend additional time if you have things come up where you can only go part-time, or if you're a learner who really excels and with maybe a smaller schedule, 3 classes, because it's not just about getting through the classes, it's also about being successful and learning and ending up with an education at the end of it. So I can tell you an associate's is 2 years, about 60 credits, and really it has some flexibility for you to make it work for you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's one of the best descriptions I've ever heard, Jessica. So thank you personally. So associate's degree, and that's associated with community colleges, but Pat alluded to certification programs that are available at community colleges, correct?
Correct. I think a lot of people don't realize that the levels of education can be a little bit different. Yes, we offer up to that associate's degree, but we also have some pretty amazing programs that are certificate. And when we're talking about certificate, again, I'll give you the time frame where it's about a year, but it's 30 credits. So it's about 10 classes that you're going to take towards a specific program. So a lot of people don't realize that the licensed practical nursing, or LPN, is actually a certificate program. You're spending about a year in that program working towards your license as a licensed practical nurse. We also have programs in certificate areas such as welding or engineering technology, which gives you the flexibility to focus on the subject areas such as welding or machining, or really giving you the opportunity to make it your own. Another benefit of the certificate programs is they are focused. So when I say you can focus it and make it your own, the benefit is going to be that if you're a student who says, I just want to go to school and I want to learn something, I want to learn an applicable skill where I'm going to go out into the workforce. These degrees are designed to focus specifically on a subject area and don't include a lot of general credit. So they work for people that are focused on that job entry perfectly.
Well, that leaded me right into my next question. So Pat talked about sequencing of stackable credentials and how it may go upwards or sideways. Do you often see students that maybe go into a one-year program, but then add additional certifications, like maybe they're in engineering technology, but then add a welding certificate afterwards, or maybe even in the medical field or a trade certificate?
Yes, certainly. One of the really nice things about the design of the degree, of a certificate degree, is that it follows nicely along with what an associate's degree would eventually entail. So if you were to do something where you earn that certificate and entered into the workforce, you could then, yes, come back and stack on that associate's degree or stack on another credential, as Nick had said. One of the perfect examples and ways to explain this would be going back to CNA certification. So for example, if somebody went through tech and they ended up with their CNA certification, they could then take that certification and come to SC4 and, let's say, start on the LPN program, that certificate program. And they are given an extra boost or extra points towards the admission criteria as far as LPN is concerned for having that CNA on top of the obviously amazing experience you're getting as a CNA. And then they stop. They enter into the workforce. They maybe work for a few years. Then they could come back and start what's called our nursing transition program, where they come back and spend about 3 more semesters, about a year and a half, working towards their RN, and earning the RN in the long run. They could even then take another pause and enter back into the workforce, and then come back and talk to us about, how am I going to go back to school and get my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing through Oakland or through U of M Flint. And that's an additional step, an additional layer that we can help these students on. So you can truly start in one place with just a small amount of training, and eventually kind of stack that up as life works and moves and goes forward and changes, and end up in the same position. It's a really cool opportunity, and a lot of our degrees, frankly, will follow kind of that sequence.
And actually, Jessica, I had a guest on a panel last year for health careers. She's a nurse practitioner, and she went through the sequencing that you just talked about all the way through SE4 and then to her bachelor's and beyond. But she did so by returning to the workforce, coming back, adding, stacking, as the terminology would say, more of her education and training, along with having a full-time job, and now as a nurse practitioner, it's a great example of doing so over a period of time. There's also, in our conversation preparing for this evening, there's another path that students take when they attend a community college. And maybe it's for a year or two. And you and I talked a little bit about, the college planning and the building up a transcript to transfer on to a university. And so maybe they're not going to be taking the path of adding technical certificates or credentials, or getting an associate's degree. Maybe they're coming for a year before transferring to Michigan State or transferring to Oakland University, as we have on as our next guest. Talk to us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, so as a community college, one of the big things you do is aimed exactly at that transfer. We have a lot of degrees that we describe as standalone, which I've already talked about, but we do a lot with transfer, with planning, with students who, as you said, start with us and then go. Our slogan, start here, go anywhere. So they go anywhere. And it focuses a lot on the Michigan Transfer Agreement. So the Michigan Transfer Agreement is just an agreement between community colleges, public universities, and some private colleges in Michigan, where a student can start at a community college like St. Clair County and work on, again, about 30 credits, so about a year worth of studies, where they can earn credits in general education in areas like English, humanities, social science, and science, math. These classes have been agreed on that if you take them starting at the community college level, when you go on to Oakland or another university, those credits will be transferred in as your general education requirements towards your bachelor's degree. and you're earning your bachelor's degree from Oakland or from U of M. But those credits that you just earned, it's basically like you took them at that university, but you ended up saving up to 75% on tuition costs because you stayed at a community college and earned those general education credits and then transferred. Even if you take that another level where, I said a year, again, time frame, so 30 credits. But if you wanted to move on and earn additional credits on top of the Michigan transfer agreement, we have those opportunities as well. Our degrees are really designed when you're talking about a science area or in arts, those are really designed with transfer in mind. And that's the goal of our academic offices and our advising offices. The big recommendation I have for any students that's their goal, because although I know I'm biased on this because I work for SC4, I also attended SC4 and did this. I transferred. I attended SC4, I transferred to Western, and those credits followed me. But I would not have had that opportunity on my own. It really required that I worked with an academic advisor. So that's my biggest piece of advice for anybody who's, first of all, go to community college. It's an amazing opportunity for you, especially in St. Clair County with SC4. But work with an advisor, at SC4, work with an advisor at Oakland. Make for sure the credits that you're taking are going to transfer to that school. Because saying, I'm going to work on a transfer pathway, I'm going to transfer is great, but you have to make for sure that you're meeting the grade requirements, you're meeting the specific criteria of that transfer institution too. So it's just really important to make for sure you work with the professionals and the people that truly are there for you. So make for sure of that.
Well, I think it's just a great, example of, talking to Pat and now you, and I gave the sales pitch at the beginning that there's not a one size fit all pathway or model for a student. And hearing both you and Pat describe all these other paths and journeys you can take to obtaining certain degrees and credentials and certificates, you have to talk to an advisor to get that path and that planning done before high school graduation.
Yes, and I am very close with the advising office. I'm really excited to see Matt, your next presenter, who was an advisor at SC4. I got to work with him. But they're wonderful people. They're really, they focus so much on you. They just want you to be successful. They just want you to, earn your end goals to get you there. So don't be afraid of them. Don't let them intimidate you. They're hilarious, I promise. Just make for sure that you work with them.
Well, Jessica, this is the last question, kind of your sales pitch, because I know SC4 is doing a lot, and you have dorms now and stuff. You have a lot of exciting things going on. Just give us a little preview of like the big programs and the things that SC4 is offering, because I graduated locally here in St. Clair County too, and we're very fortunate to have a community college of this level here in our backyard.
So the focus, I think throughout the state, the focus is on just making for sure you're making the most of your educational opportunities. And as I said, you're in St. Clair County, you're a student that has this amazing in-district community college where you can really gain that experience. And the dorm helps. Certainly I hear a lot that students hesitate to go to community college because they're looking for that experience. They want to live in a dorm. They want to go and tailgate for sporting events. They want to do those things. We offer those things, although you don't see them all the time, because maybe we're in your school talking about dual enrollment or academic opportunities, which are certainly there, are 100% amazing. We do have opportunities for you to experience the full, well-rounded college experience, and that does include dorms. And we've had people that live in Port Huron live in our dorms, so it certainly happens. And it includes our wonderful field house, our wonderful teams, where you can support them, participate with them. They're scholarship eligible if that's your trajectory and that's something that you're interested in. And I just think it's a wonderful opportunity, just everything. I could probably sit here and go on and on and on and on and on, but I won't. I'll let Matt talk. But
All
I just
right.
think that you can get that full experience at SC4, and please let us let us help you. I just want to help you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jessica, and not only just helping, students interested in SE4, but this whole county and all the counselors and myself and all of our programs. You're always such a helpful person helping us, address all these challenges of our current time. So we'll come back to you here during question and answer period, because I'm sure we have some interest in community colleges. So thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
All right, our next up, please welcome Matt Zog. Matt is joining us from Oakland University this evening, a transfer articulation coordinator. As Jessica mentioned, Matt works at Oakland, but used to work at St. Clair County Community College prior to that position. Matt, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, Nick. 5 years academic advisor at SC4. So definitely had a good time working there and enjoyed working with Jessica. So it's great to see you, Jessica.
Very nice. And Matt, how long have you been at Oakland now?
About 4.5 years.
Very good. So the level of education that's usually associated with universities as a bachelor's degree, and I would say probably the traditional most talked about path after high school graduation is going to a university or college in hopes of attaining a bachelor's degree. Talk to us a little bit, like Jessica did, about an associate degree. What's the definition? What goes into graduating with a bachelor's degree from Oakland University?
Sure. I first want to say Jessica kind of stole my thunder. I was going to go on the credits too and shy away from the years. And when she started talking about that, I was like, oh, great response. That was a great response. And so just like Jessica said, we're going to look at it in terms of credits. Everybody thinks, 4 years for your bachelor, just like 2 years for associate. But in terms of credits, 60 for an associate, double that. So you're looking at about 120 credits. At OU, most degrees are 120 to 128. And in terms of years, it's starting to grow a little more, kind of get to that 5 years, because full-time credits is sometimes considered just 12. But if you just do 12 credits per semester, you're not going to be on that 4-year plan. That's where, like Jessica mentioned earlier, kind of taking 15 credits. If you're at 15, 16 credits, fall, winter, or some schools call it spring semester, then yes, you could be on that 4-year plan. But like Jessica said, everybody goes about it at a different pace. Find the pace that works best for you. You do not have to get it done in 4 years. You could get it done actually in 3 years if you wanted to. If you took AP credits, if you did dual enrollment, if you took summer classes, maybe you get done a little bit quicker. Figure out what works best for you. But traditionally, we're going to be at that 4 years, but 120 credits.
And Matt, I'm going to just go back a little bit to what you just said. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because there's a lot of families in the audience. And, even for myself, first generation students that were going to college for the first time in the family. You mentioned like selecting how many credits you want to take each semester. So you talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. So if you need to be full-time or want to be full-time, and I say need because sometimes financial aid, scholarships may depend on it. I don't know if they still do this. When I was going to college, my dad was like, you have to be full-time because you can still stay on my insurance. So, and I wanted to go full-time. That was just what I was going to do. But, or if you want to go full-time, you're looking at least 12 credits. And like Jessica said, typical class is going to be 3 credits. OU is actually a little bit different, and most of our courses are actually 4 credits. I actually kid with my wife all the time. All my classes at Central Michigan were 3 credits. All of hers were 4. So I took more courses than her. So sometimes it just depends on, what your major is. Sometimes that can determine the credits or where you go. So you could be a full-time student at Oakland University with just 3 classes. And the credits will really determine how much time is spent in the classroom. They're always going to say then, multiply that by 2. That's typically what you should be spending outside of the classroom. That's why when you say I'm taking 12 credits, so 12 credits, 12 hours in the classroom, maybe, 20 hours out of the classroom. Now we're about 32 hours, full-time job, kind of getting up there. It's not always 20 hours per week of studying. Again, it's going to depend on the classes. It's going to depend. It's midterm weeks. Maybe I'm doing a little more studying one time. Maybe I have a paper. Maybe it's kind of in between those things. So I don't have as much, just catching up on reading. But yeah, you're looking at 12 to about 15, 16 credits. A lot of times students that first semester, we might encourage you, you know what, if you're not sure and you want to start off on a good foot, maybe start with that 12. And if you feel you want to catch up, take a summer class. You could take a summer class at OU, but if you're from, the St. Clair area, maybe you come back home for the summer, take a course at SC4. Happens all the time. Students do that constantly, where they'll come back, go to their local community college, save some money, and then take a summer class and maybe catch up or get ahead.
It leads me right to my next question, Matt. So you also mentioned AP credits, dual enrollment credits, or going back in the summer and taking a course and then coming back to OU. So there's a lot of AP courses now being offered in high schools. So describe what an AP course is and what that means when you go to university.
Sure. So your advanced placement course, if it's offered at, your high school, if it's a subject you like and enjoy, think you can do well in it, go for it. When the time comes to take that exam, typically you have to score a 3 or higher in order to get some kind of college credit. One of the things you have to do, and this isn't regarding transfer in general or just seeking out the college you want to go to, is seeing how an institution is going to accept that credit. I will say OU has been moving more towards the friendlier side of accepting AP credits. We used to be on the track of we're only going to accept 4 or 5s. So that means if you got a 3 and maybe SC4 takes that AP exam with a 3 score, but then decide you want to transfer to OU, just because SC4 took it doesn't mean we are going to. So that's where you'd want to then look and go, you know what? Wow, I took a bunch of AP exams, got a 3. The institution I want to transfer to doesn't accept 3s, but this other one does. So then that's sometimes those decisions you have to weigh. Now, OU has gotten better. We've moved pretty much, I think, out of the, 30 or some odd exams, 29 of them do accept a 3. But again, the thing to look at is then how many credits are we accepting? Are we accepting 4? Are we accepting 6? Are we accepting 8? Because again, a lot of institutions are going to vary. That's where you want to do your research.
Okay. What type of programs are offered at Oakland University in terms of a bachelor's degree?
A lot. Over 100. It's broken down into different schools. So we have like the School of Business, School of Education, School of Computer Science and Engineering, School of Nursing, School of Health Sciences, which is everything but nursing. And then we also have kind of the College of Arts and Sciences, where you're going to grab more of your liberal arts type degrees, like your history, your political science, your psychology, sociology, philosophy, things like that. And then we also have Bachelor of Integrative Studies. And that is a very unique degree in that if you get an associate degree from a community college, say SC4, and you go into integrative studies, it will automatically transfer all the credits and they will all apply. And we'll talk about application in just a minute in terms of applying to their degree. And why that's really good is if you're going into robotics, mechatronics, welding, those types of credits don't always transfer to an OU or another university. They're a little too technical, but with this integrative studies program, and you get the associate degree, we would bring them all in. So that's why it's beneficial. And integrative studies lets you kind of pick and choose your own path. So in my mind, the best example is, let's say I go to SC4 and I get my degree in welding. I'm working, I have a job, but I want to move up maybe into management. That welding degree will not transfer well into our School of Business. You basically would be starting over. But if you went into integrative studies, finished up general education courses, along with a mixture of maybe leadership, human resource development, maybe a few business courses, you now have that bachelor degree. You have the skills that you want. You also have the technical skills and the work experience that you have. So it's a great combination. So that's, again, just something you would want to look into, especially if you're looking at OU.
Well, I'm going to stay on that, and then I'm going to go back to one of my previous questions here. So working at SC4, now being at OU, and Jessica touched on this a little bit about the importance of planning and taking classes that are going to allow you, whether it's 1 to 2 years in community college. So if I'm a student and I'm going to 1 or 2 years at a community college, or and then I want to transfer to a university like Oakland, what's some advice for students that are going to do that, so that I'm not so-called wasting my credits and not taking classes that I shouldn't be for transferring to a university?
Sure. It's start the planning early. And Jessica mentioned it. talked about it all the time when I was at SC4. I'll talk about it now at OU. Talk to your advisors. We get paid to help you. So there are dead periods at SC4 where it was like February and our calendar was very wide open. Sure, we'd work on projects, but I'd rather be talking to students. And then all of a sudden the schedule opens up, and all of a sudden in March or April, all of a sudden it's a rush. And then I'm man, I don't know what to take. I can't get in to see you. I'm like, where were you in February? We could have had a nice calm conversation. We could have planned this out. You could have had your schedule all set for you. So and it's starting early. And I'll say this out here. Starting early doesn't necessarily mean having everything totally figured out. It's just starting the process and getting some ideas of what you want to do. Because the worst thing you can do, and this has happened, and I always like giving student perspective, so you know it's not just me saying I've never experienced this. This is just something that happened. I've had students come up to me. They've done their 60 credits. They're already moving on to their transfer institution, and they go, okay, Matt, I'm leaving for Michigan State in a couple months. Can you tell me how my credits are going to transfer? At that point, there really wasn't anything I could do. You're already going. I needed to see you 60 credits ago. And you tell me I'm going to Michigan State, or I don't know what institution I'm going to, but I want to go into business. I want to go into engineering. Then we can start picking and choosing the different courses that you want to take, getting you in touch then, hopefully, with admission reps or academic advisors at some of the institutions you want to go to. And you do have to explore other institutions. A common conversation I had when I was an advisor at SC4 was, I don't know where I want to transfer. So we pick out a couple schools and just go visit them, get a feel for that institution to see if you want to go there, or some of the pros and cons of what you like and what you're going to look at other institutions. They come back for another meeting and go, how are those visits? I never went. I go, okay, well, try to do it again. Because then another semester goes by where we're still kind of guessing what to take. And we don't want to do that. And it will happen. Minds will change. I'm supposed to be teaching high school history. That's what I went to Central Michigan for. Obviously, that's not occurring. So when you can plan ahead of time, it will help in that way. Like me, when your mind changes, I did enough planning and paying attention to my classes that when I was able to switch some things around, I didn't have to waste too many credits. I stayed up at CMU for one extra summer, or just one summer where I took a couple extra classes, got me back on track, and I was good to go. So
I think that it leads me right to my next question. I know I say it a lot, but it's so great because it's tying this all together. You know, we talked about all these different pathways, but the importance of the planning. And if you're going to take your path and you're going to model it around your career preparation and training and education, you have to plan, you have to talk to advisors and all that. And that's where I'm going to backtrack a little bit to, I'm a high school student. I'm looking at a college or university right away after graduation. And you already alluded to the planning portion, but you and I talked a little bit about your experiences. You know, what should I think about when I'm looking for a college or university to obtain a bachelor's degree? And you had a pretty good story too, went to Central Michigan, but, you know, just talk to what these families need to look at before they walk out that high school door.
Sure. No, I'm glad you brought it up. I'll just talk about my experience because I think it focuses on some points that you want to just think about. So I was debating between Oakland University and Central Michigan, and I visited Oakland University first. I visited in the middle of March. It was a dreary day. It was, I think, in the middle of classes. I was walking around campus. There wasn't much there or excitement in the air for me. And I was like, okay, whatever. So we sign up to go visit Central Michigan on one of their major recruitment events, CMU and U Day. It is in the fall. It is a nice 75 degrees, partly cloudy football Saturday with thousands of people on campus walking around, and there's just this air of excitement. And I stepped on campus. I look at my dad, I go, I'm going here. It just felt great. So take that into consideration when you go make a visit. Are you going on a special day? Are you going if it's sunny or 6 inches of snow? I mean, you can go visit an institution and be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be walking in between, buildings in the snow and it's cold. Yet if you're staying in Michigan and you're going to an institution just down the road, but you went and visited in the summer and you're like, wow, I can see myself here. Look, it's so nice and sunny. I can hang out, on the quad over there. It's going to be great. So kind of pay attention to some of those things. pay attention to how well the admission reps will get back to you. Some get back a little bit better than others. I experienced that. And this isn't me talking from OU. This is my SC4 hat on, where some admission reps, will reach out a little bit better, try to see if they can personalize your tour all the time, because my office is next to admissions. I hear a lot of the mission tour guides going, and what are you interested in? Health sciences. We're going to make sure we hit the health science building. We'll spend extra time in that building for you. We're not going to then spend time in, maybe the College of Arts and Sciences. That's not what you're interested in. So if we have an hour, let's make sure we focus on that. So make sure you can kind of get that personalized tour. If you want to go in a group tour, sometimes it's nice. You get to see other students who have similar questions, similar experiences. You already start to meet people who you might be going to college with. So a lot of things to take in, but the key thing is you have to go and do it. And obviously COVID's changed some of that right now, but a lot of people are offering virtual tours. So even take a virtual tour, because again, you get a feel for what that institution's like.
Thank you so much, Matt. I was just about to ask what, the virtual tours and everything, but Oakland does offer that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Very good. And I think most colleges and universities right now are offering that. Hopefully maybe spring, summer, some things may change, but we'll see. So thank you so much, Matt. I'm going to open this back up now to our question and answer period. So if you have a question for any of our panelists right now, at the bottom of your screen, you see this chat button. Go ahead and enter your question in there. My partner, Rachel Verche, is actually going to read out the questions. And if you have a specific question for one of the panelists, say Matt, just say, this is for Matt, and this is the question that I have. I actually did receive a couple questions from the audience prior to this evening that would like them asked. And one of them was actually about dual enrollment, Jessica. And so I'm going to go to Jessica with this, and just curious as an underclassman asking what dual enrollment is and what association that has with a community college.
Absolutely. You're talking to me about one of my passions, by the way. I love dual enrollment. But dual enrollment is essentially your opportunity in grades 9, 10, 11, and 12 to take up to 10 classes as part at the college. And typically they make accommodations to your schedule. The credit can be used for both high school and college, or just college, whatever you need. And the nice part about it, the extra nice part about it, is that you actually receive sponsorship through your school. So the school is able, through state funding, to provide you an amount that will, within the county of St. Clair, actually pretty much cover any 3 credit class that we offer, or 3 contact hours, 3 credit, 3 contact hour class. So a lot of students focus on that MTA, that Michigan Transfer Agreement that I talked about, and will take classes such as sociology. The limitations are that the high schools cannot offer these in AP. So as you can imagine, it wouldn't make much sense to allow and pay for a high school student to take English 101 at SC4 when they offer an AP English composition course at the school. So that's the limitation. It ties in nicely to middle college. The question I get a lot is, what's the big difference? And the difference is really going to be in the structure and the payment. So a middle college is an amazing opportunity, and they pay all of your costs, and you can earn up to that, certificate or associate degree. So the main difference is, and again, you're limited to 10 classes in your high school career when you do traditional dual enrollment. You can't take any of those classes that they offer through AP. A middle college will have a more robust offering for you, where you can take truly the requirements of the degree.
And Jessica, while you're on, it looks like we have a question for you. Your comments about advising must have really hit folks, because we have the question of, how do we make an advising appointment at SC4?
So you can go to sc4.edu/advising. sc4.edu/advising. But what I would like to say is, if your questions relate more to, I don't know what degree I want to seek, I don't know what I want to do, I need some help exploring, I have some general questions about how do I get started at SC4, come to me. please come to me first. Come to our admissions area. It's sc4.edu/start-here, or just go to sc4.edu and it's all right there, I promise. But start with me if the questions are very general. Start with admissions. Once you apply, that's when I would start with the academic advisor. So if you're not quite sure yet, start with me. If you've already applied, go ahead and make that appointment.
All right. I actually have a question that was sent to me private chat. Sorry, Rachel, right here. It's actually for Pat. Pat, I'm going to get you unmuted here. Spotlight. So Pat, they mentioned at Tech, and actually Jessica talked about this a little bit too, the acronyms CNA, LPN, and RN. Talk to us a little bit about what those acronyms mean, and especially the ones that are offered at Tech.
Wow, this is a test. So at Tech, CNA is Certified Nurse Aide. LPN would be Licensed Practical Nurse. Am I getting that one right, Jessica? And RN would be Registered Nurse.
And so CNA can take that and get employment right after graduating from Tech?
Right. So what the CNA does is it allows a student, they acquire what referred to as patient contact, patient care skills. So learning how to take care of a patient. Typically it's long-term facility, but they also use CNAs in doctors' offices and hospitals. But in a lot of cases, it would be a long-term care facility or nursing home where they have a lot of patients that need personal care every day.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pat. All right. Is there any other questions for the audience? You can enter them into the chat now. And I'm going to begin the closing on this evening before we get to the scholarship drawing. But if you do have questions, please throw them in there and we'll get them answered. And if not, we'll send a follow-up email tomorrow with some resources and some contact information as well as we get to the close of this evening. We could bring up our presentation once again here. So in closing, it's important to know that there are several steps and tasks that need to be completed throughout your career in college planning, from financial planning, exploration, and application. But this is a process that should start prior to graduation and continue well into your post-high school career. So where do you go from here? Well, tonight was actually the first of 3 events that guide your planning during the winter months, part of our winter essential webinar series. Our next event will be parent-to-parent webinar on February 24th at 7 p.m., which will feature a panel of parents providing their experiences, knowledge, and tips that they learned along the way when they took their son and daughter through the college planning process. This is a great opportunity for families going through the process for the first time, or potentially having a student, son or daughter, that's taken a different pathway than their older siblings did before. Next, all this information that we talked about today, the webinars, can be found on the new Blue Water College Access Network website that acts as really a one-stop shop for all your career and college planning needs. Maybe you're on track and ahead of the game a little bit. Maybe you need some additional resources, but here you can find. We also have the recordings of our Fall Essentials webinar series that covers topics just like tonight, from college applications, financial aid, scholarships and paying for college, and even career exploration, as well as grade-specific checklists for the fall to refer back to make sure you're on track. This website can be found at www.bwcan.org. Another resource that we put out monthly and is a virtual monthly newsletter that provides subscribers with updated information and resources from St. Clair County RESA, Blue Water College Access Network, SC4, the Community Foundation, and our community and state partners. So you can sign up for that we put a lot of resources on that, and that goes out about the middle of each month. And last but not least, you heard Pat, Jessica, and Matt all talk about the planning that needs to go into your career in college, whether it's for a certificate, a credential, an associate's degree, or a bachelor's and beyond. These conversations and planning need to be taken back to your school districts. A great support that you have is scheduling a meeting with your high school counselors or your college advisors. St. Clair County is very fortunate to have a very strong network of counselors as well as college advisors. There's actually 5 college advisors that you see on your screen right now. And these are the high schools that they're actually placed at in serving the students daily. So without further ado, we will get to our scholarship drawing for the evening. A scholarship drawing is for any 11th or 12th grade St. Clair County student that's in attendance this evening. They will win a $500 scholarship to put towards pursuing education after high school graduation. And the scholarships are sponsored by our great partners at the Community Foundation of St. Clair County. So I'm going to draw a name out of the jar just like we normally do when we're in person, and read off the student's name. And then we will actually send an email tomorrow to the students and the family with the instructions how to obtain the scholarship for after graduation. So reach in the jar, mix it up here. The winner for the college ABCC's webinar is Gabe Urban from Port Huron High School, 11th grader. Congratulations, Gabe. Well, that's all we have for this evening. We thank you for joining us. We hope to see you on February 24th. I'm Nick Boudreau from St. Clair County RESA. Have a great evening.